Streaming at thewolfuwg.com and on the Odyssey app.
Welcome to Wolves of the Written Word.
More college students should read.
Reading is cool.
Have you ever read a book before?
Of course I have. This show used to be a podcast.
Dystopian is my favorite genre.
That's depressing.
Wow, I can't believe that's banned.
Wolves of the Written Word.
Wolves of the Written Word.
Wolves of the Written Word. Wolves of the Written Word. Wolves of the Written Word. Wolves of the Written Word. Wolves of the Written Word.
Enjoyed the show.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Wolves of the Written Word, Wolf Radio's flagship book show where we talk about anything related to the written word. I'm your host, Sean Smith.
I'm your co-host, Janelle Michelle.
And I'm your co-host, Adia Stubblefield.
And I hope everyone is having a very excellent Monday morning today. And if this is your first time tuning in, here's how we do things around here. Number one, we talk about the good and the bad of anything related to books. Number two, we actually read the books most of the time. Number three, we have fun. No gatekeeping, no pressure, just great stories and real conversation. So sit back and relax and enjoy the episode. And before we get into the main heart of the topic that we're discussing here, how's everyone doing today?
I don't know. How are y'all doing?
I'm doing all right.
I'm okay. I'm tired.
I am also tired for different reasons. I don't know. I feel like this weekend was a little exhausting.
Yeah, it was for me too.
Yeah.
It was very passive for me. I was very productive, and I managed to at least do most of my schoolwork, but also managed to also kind of do a lot of stuff around the dorm as well, such as laundry and vacuuming as well, something that even the little things that you kind of skimped out on.
Yeah, I was not productive for like personal stuff this weekend. It was definitely mostly work. But it's okay because school's almost over.
See, that's my problem. School's almost over, so it's getting very crazy. We're getting to the end, and I'm just like, I don't know if I'm prepared to be at the end.
That's valid.
Yeah, it's especially for finals and final projects. It's a lot harder. I mean, at least you don't have like exams. Most of it's just projects, so you just gotta spend your time wisely.
I'm not in my film classes yet.
I have an exam.
I have exams.
You have exams?
We have. Here's the thing. Even if you don't have exams, them final projects are just like a lot. Low-key killing me a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know if I can handle it actually, but it's okay.
To move out by like I think it's May 14th,
which is not a lot of time. That's like what?
Yeah, this is like 4 weeks.
Yeah, that's
like I have a lot of stuff.
Might just have to slowly move things out every weekend.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
And I know that especially for us, we have to kind of laze around and kind of like, destimulate ourselves and sort of take a step back. Of course, the best way to relax is with a good old book. And before we get into the actual topic of why we're here today, I would like to remind everyone that there's actually a book fair right there in front of the Ingram Library and at Starbucks near Love Valley. They're selling books for very, very cheap. They even have blind books about for $8. They take cash, card, Cash App, anything. They're pretty much is going to be all throughout, mostly Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday from around different times. So check out the UWG English Club for any of their times on their Instagram. But now we're actually going to dive right into the actual main topic. So as you know, there has been a bit of a resurgence of nostalgia, for a yearning for the retro and what was used to be. Most people have retro video games, such as maybe a PS3 or even the Wii. But for us as readers, we get our nostalgia through reading. Now, what's interesting about reading is that the mere act of reading is also pretty nostalgic. As often or not, it's not just childhood books that also bring us nostalgia, but also something that elicit positive memories that are even from books or movies that are only maybe half a decade. So as we dive into this, we're actually going to be talking about our favorite books that give us nostalgia, something that we get good feelings and vibes from. So to begin, what are some of our favorite books that elicit nostalgia from us?
The Geronimo Stilton books.
Absolutely, yeah.
Is it Tia or Thea Stilton books? I think it's Thea. I think it's
so
Thea.
Thea Stilton books.
Yes.
Ginny B. Jones and Dork Diaries.
I was just about to say Dork
Oh, and
Diaries.
Judy Moody. Yeah, that's nostalgic.
Judy Moody. I also loved the Judy movie when I was younger.
I love that movie, yeah.
That's what actually made me read the book because I was just like, this is such a cool little movie. I don't know. There's like a whole bunch of random things that I'm not really thinking about.
I don't know the name, but I'm see the series. It's like a book about like little fairies, and every single book is like a cover with a new fairy. I literally, when we go on break, I'm gonna look it up because I completely blanked on the name. But that was a nostalgic book. Like I loved that book.
That's real. Low-key, I have nostalgia from like the Percy Jackson books because I, unfortunately, not yet. We're in process of fixing it. I have not like read all the books, but I remember being younger and going, like I transferred elementary schools, I think my 5th grade year, so I moved from Georgia to Florida. The school I went to in Florida, they had like a Percy Jackson week where like everything was Percy Jackson themed. All the teachers are talking about the books. You go into the library and it's just like set up like we're at Camp Half-Blood, and then it's also set up like we're in Olympus and all this stuff. It was really cool. And I remember like they just kind of were doing it to encourage you to read, which I love.
I think one of my like core nostalgic books was Fancy Nancy and Pinkalicious and Olivia, like the little pig. Like I feel like those 3 books were such like a staple for me as a young kid. Like those were my first books that I read.
That's so real, honestly. I keep thinking there's this like one book that I used to read, or like book series that I used to read when I was younger, but I cannot remember for the life of me what it is. I just remember that it was like girls and they were doing something and it was chaotic. No, Babysitter Club.
I love
the Babysitter's Club.
Yes, loved the Babysitter's Club. What about you, Sean? What are your nostalgic
Well,
books?
for me, I also have very strong nostalgic feelings for the Captain Underpants series.
Yeah.
As you know, it was a very connective series for me, and it's also one of the few series that also was still published throughout that time. I think I actually managed to kind of elicit a lot of theories and a lot of cool personal connections from that book series as well. I connected to the main characters, George and Harold. I didn't have ADHD, but I connected with them through creativity and action about, expressing oneself, especially in more school-like settings. There were also a lot of nostalgia for me, of course, for Percy Jackson. I feel like that I didn't have as much nostalgia for Harry Potter, but for Percy Jackson, especially in middle school, I read it a lot. It was just incredible to just read it, especially the expressiveness and the sarcasm and the wit. It just kind of, elicits some kind of a good feeling about like, these are people that kind of I can connect to even if they're on the page. And of course, the Babysitters Club. And it's interesting that you mentioned that because I am actually, I think, one of the few people that actually creates a lot of, I would say, character analysis about the Babysitters Club, weirdly enough.
Interesting.
Yes. I kind of create sort of a scenario where what would happen if certain members of the Babysitters Club were in a situation where they were removed and how the club would actually
Also,
be
like
a bit
fan
different.
fiction?
Well, yeah, fan fiction at least.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Where like I manage like the scenario is where the members of the club are at a sleepover, right, as usual, and then one of them has to get like a emergency call to get a babysitting job, and only one of them has to leave. So I think about what would happen if one of these characters were to leave and how it would affect the sleepover and how they would be as babysitters. So if Christy were to leave, everyone would kind of be more chilled out because she's a bit more bossy. If Claudia were to leave, Stacy would be a bit more superficial and kind of force a lot more boy talk onto Marianne and Christy, which makes them a bit more uncomfortable. If someone like Dawn were to leave, there isn't no laid-back nature.
I didn't really like Dawn.
Really? That's controversial.
I know. She grew on me, but like at first, like those first, I think, 2 books with her, I just found her annoying. It was just like
Fair.
why are you here situation.
That's also kind of how like they presented her.
Yeah.
Like they wanted you to like her, but they also wanted you to be like, why is this
Why
random
is she
girl a
here?
part of the club?
Like
Yeah.
younger me did not like her, and I think she gave Christy FOMO at some point.
She did.
and that made me livid.
It's because at some point, like Christy and
it was
Claudia.
Marianne.
Christy and Marianne weren't friends, but then Marianne became really close with Dawn.
And then Dawn, and I think it was her. No, it was Dawn's mom.
Yes.
And
then
Marianne's dad.
That blew me as a kid. I was so upset.
Yeah, and those character dynamics are interesting because that's why I created that weird scenario, because it's like what would happen if they were removed. And also kind of to remember, again, the only thing I don't like about the Babysitters Club is that they are a bit flanderized a bit more, because they create some crazy scenarios. Like I think by like the 100th book, Marianne's house caught on fire and like a lot of other stuff happens. I mean, it's just crazy. Also remember, these were like ghostwriters because Anna Martin stopped writing the books, I think maybe at 20 or maybe 50, I think. So these are either written by women or men where they exaggerated some of the other characters' features.
I didn't read all the books. I think I stopped at the Babysitter Club books at like 50 or 60 because I preferred the graphic novels a lot more.
See, that was me. I didn't even grow up reading the books. Like, I didn't find out that there were actual books until I was in about middle school. But I read all the graphic novels, even after, like, they changed the art style a while.
And I still read them sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, I love the graphic novels. The books don't really hold that much nostalgia. I think I was kind of forced to read the books, actually, because I remember distinctly in, like, 4th grade, in a class, we were talking about how we thought Raina Tellaminer actually wrote the book, and my teacher was not having it and made us read the books.
It's actually very real. Like, growing up, I loved reading graphic novels, but there were certain, like, actual books that I was just like, okay, I'll read this. Like, Geronimo Stilton, love those books. Thea Stilton, love those books. But also, I'm pretty sure those books are where my spelling problems stem from.
Because, like, they put, like, mouse puns for everything. And there's some words I still, like, get trippy because I think it's the way it was in the book, like, but it's not. And that's like, so humbling.
Yeah, or I'll write it the correct way, and I'll be like, this doesn't look right. I'm very convinced that they are the reason why. Fully.
Yes, and I also read the graphic novels for the Babysitters Club, and I felt like that the graphic novels made the characters more consistent because they kind of made some unique changes with it. Also, I would say that even the Netflix adaptation also did that as well, where the characters aren't as flanderized, where they actually grow and change rather than put them in random situations and then exaggerate their personalities a bit. But before we go any further, let's take a quick word from our sponsors. Your Thursday night just got louder. This Thursday, Wolfstock 2026 arrives this Thursday, April 9th, and you do not want to miss it. From 6 to 9 p.m. in the Campus Center Ballroom, experience music, energy, and campus community all in one place. Join us for live performances from Luna Wire, Edie and Zoe, Princess, and more. Plus games, food, prizes, and good vibes. Bring your friends, hang out, and be part of one of Wolf Radio's biggest events of the year. Follow us at thewolfuwg.com for updates. Wolfstock is brought to you by Monster Energy, Westwood Apartments, Dine West, Flagship Carrollton, Illuminated Productions, and Ozier Apparel. And we'll be right back on the other side of this song.
Yo, what's up with these bodacious tunes? Wait, gag me with a spoon. Why am I talking like this?
No idea, but let's put that unique voice to use and sign you up for Wolf Radio's WIT program. Our righteous staff have the know-how to make you a radio expert.
Radical. So how do I sign up?
Just go to thewolfuwg.com and click the WIT program link under our About drop-down menu. Piece of cake. But we got a motor. Sticking to the clock is the most important rule of radio. Cowabunga!
You're listening to Wolves of the Written Word, where the stories are more than just what's on the pages.
Welcome back, everyone, to Wolves of the Written Word, where we're discussing about our favorite books from nostalgia. And if you're just tuning in, we have just been talking about the Babysitters Club, but now we're going to switch our attention over to something a bit different. But before we begin, when you look good, you feel good. When it fits good, you feel good. Now you can rep your favorite college station with our brand new merch store powered by O0 Apparel. Visit thewolfUWG.com and click About. That's thewolfUWG.com and click About. So we have been discussing the Babysitters Club, which is also a very strong, heavily nostalgic book. Hopefully they can create some new stories, hopefully, into the publication, because I think they've just been reprinting all of the old books with new covers that look very janky.
I don't think they should write new books. I think they should just turn them all to graphic novels. Only 'cause I feel like with the Babysitters Club, there's only so much you can do without it turning, like, preposterous. 'Cause you said a house burnt down at some point. And, like, again, I probably haven't read all of them. But I feel like there's only so many stories you can tell. And, like, the age for reading, the reading level has decreased with age, and I feel like graphic novels are a nice medium to be able to read and to look at pictures. So I would definitely say stop making the books, turn them into graphic novels.
I see that. I agree with that, but I also think low-key stop making those books, make something completely new.
Yeah.
Make something completely new. If we're going to stop making them, then you could do what Adia said, turn them all into graphic novels so that kids are more interested in it and so that more kids are exposed to it. And then just, like, spend all that time that you're using to reprint them and retell the same stories and make something completely different.
All right. And it's time to get into the heart of today's episode, where we actually figure out the actual reason for why we feel very nostalgic over all these books. These are books that are at least about maybe 40 years old, even maybe 80 years old, at least from my standpoint, at least. But these are pretty. These are books.
What 80-year-old book are you reading?
The Babysitter Club.
No, like Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, or Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Okay.
That's at least 60, 80 at least, because it was released in like maybe the 50s.
I guess.
It's pretty nostalgic too. It's a very cool, comfy read. But these books have been around for decades, and often or not, you would probably only read it maybe once when you were a kid, but now when you read it again, you get all these good feelings that come along back. And of course, there has been a sort of a 2016 resurgence where people have been trying to go backlogged into a much simpler time. And that also includes books. So what really makes a book nostalgic? Is it the story, the cover? Is it the characters? Is it the age that you read it at? Or maybe it's something that associates with good memories, or maybe it's something where you read the book during a bad time and it elicited more positive memories. What do you guys think?
I think it's mostly the age or the time in which you read it and the time that you were in your life. Because if you really think about it, you could read a book right now and then 10 years from now, you'll be nostalgic for that book that you read right here, right now. So we're nostalgic for the things that we read when we were in like elementary school or middle school, when we were younger, because we were younger than we are now. And that was a completely different time than we're in right now, which is also one of the main factors of nostalgia, just in general, is the fact that you are thinking back to whether it's a happy memory, a sad memory, a bad memory. It does not matter. You're looking back to a time different than the time that you're currently in, and you're missing some part of that time through a lens that makes you feel a certain way about it.
I agree. And for me, a lot of the reason why I'm so nostalgic about certain books is because of the age and time I've read them. Like, my favorite nostalgic books are books that I all picked up at the Scholastic Book Fair. And that's because, like, I associate, like, the book fair with, like, happy, positive, like, upright memories. So when I open this book, I'm thrown back to then.
Yes, and I do agree with all your points as well, where I read back over books that I've read back in middle school, elementary school, all the way back when I was younger. It does bring back those good feelings and memories. And when you read it, especially when you get older, it definitely kind of helps you kind of elicit more positive feelings. And I feel like that nostalgia does definitely help, because it also allows you to sort of view back certain things and allow you to sort of recontextualize them, and where these positive feelings can also kind of wash over and help you face towards the future. Now, do know that we have a lot of variety of nostalgic books that we like to talk about, and I think that leads into one of course, our very most common segments.
All books are two sides of the same page. It's time for Related Reads.
That's right. It's our special segment, Related Reads, where we talk about any recommended books or anything related to what we're talking about. So since we are talking about nostalgic books, what are some books that people can read that can elicit very strong sense of nostalgia? Because as you know, everyone's childhood is pretty different. So I have not read, let's see, you said Judy Moody, I would say. And my sister read Junie B. Jones. And it was also very popular in our house too. But I personally did not read Junie B. Jones as well. But it doesn't elicit the same nostalgic feeling as from that book compared to Cat in Underpants. So what are some books that you feel like that would be very nostalgic that would elicit these feelings?
Oh my God. Did you guys grow up reading A Bad Case of the Stripes?
Yes.
That book is like actually the definition of nostalgia to me because I remember reading it. I remember watching the movie. I remember like it's just that is like the encapsulation of a certain period of time of elementary school and going to the school library and like, you know, when your teacher would like, there's a certain time in the day that they would like bring you all to the library and you're supposed to like be in the library and check out books and whatever. That's peak nostalgia to me, actually.
Because I love seeing people dress up as Halloween costumes for that book. Because for me, it was a really good book, but it was low-key traumatizing. Like, what do you mean if I don't eat lima beans? I'm going to grow, like, stripes and stuff like that. So, yeah, I think that's, like, peak nostalgia.
Also, like, Clifford the Big Red Dog.
Yeah.
Yep.
I feel like nostalgia, whenever we think of nostalgia, we think of, like, the books that were our favorite book series. But, like, if you think of all the tiny little random things that you read when you were younger, it's gonna give you a big nostalgia.
And Curious George.
See,
That was a
Curious
good one.
George, Cat in the Hat.
Yeah. Cat in the Hat. Yeah.
Oh, that one with the caterpillar, where the caterpillar
Oh,
was
the
like,
Very Hungry Caterpillar?
yes,
Oh,
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, Pete the Cat. I
Ooh.
loved Pete the Cat. Like, when I babysit, I play the Pete the Cat videos and the songs. Because that is, like, peak nostalgic, too. Like,
What is like some? Okay, I feel like we've said a lot of nostalgic like elementary school books. What are some nostalgic like middle school books for y'all?
For me, I would say Frindle by Andrew, I think, Cunningham. Andrew Cunningham created a lot of middle school books that had an era of maturity. Unfortunately, I think he passed, I think, maybe 6 years ago, I think. Frindle is a very simple tale about a young middle school student who creates a new word for a pen, Frindle, and it easily becomes very popular. And he tries to stop it, but he can't. It's just very, very funny. There was a lot of unique books that were situated that he actually wrote, where there was one book where the boys and the girls had a competition where they can't talk, so they just had to say like limited words. I think there was one book where they had like pen pals. These also elicit strong nostalgic feelings because I not only read it through middle school, but also where it was kind of the same age range for me as well. Also, I think you guys also forgot about anything involving, I would say, you mentioned Curious George, but also I think it was named Spot, maybe, where like it's about a rabbit who like has spots, where like, you know, his whole family has like white fur and he's the only one with spots. That also elicits nostalgia from me. It was like from a collection of stories related into there. Also Curious George as well.
there is a book series that I'm trying to look up because I truly don't remember any of the titles, but I remember reading them like distinctively in middle school. And a lot of people read them in middle school as well. It was like Prisoner B something. And the author's first name begins with an A. And once I find it, I feel like people make like the click. Hold on, give me like 2 seconds.
What about everyone being traumatized by the biggest nostalgia, Goosebumps, of course?
See, I personally was never a Goosebumps book reader because I watched the movies and I saw what they were doing with the movies on Disney, and I said, you are not going to catch me. I do not play that. No, thank you. Like, it was not going to happen for me. It was not going to happen.
Did anyone read any Alec Gratz books? He wrote Prisoner B 30087. Basically, he wrote books about historical events for middle school and high schoolers. And if you were in Reader's Rally, he was a really popular person that we would talk and debate with other middle schoolers.
Interesting. I never read that, but I do remember reading A Wrinkle in Time because it was like required reading, I think, when I was in the 6th grade. And then it was also the same year that the Wrinkle in Time movie was coming out. So I remember we were all really excited to read that. I also read, like, I talked about this in our Black Authors episode and then also, like, our favorite authors episode. Kwame Alexander. I read a whole bunch of his books when I was in middle school, especially the 6th grade. That's the first time I ever read the crossover. His books are so nostalgic to me, and he just, like, he knows how to write a book that's going to keep you engaged. I love it. Also, low-key, I didn't think about it, but, like, you know, the older that you get in middle school, you start reading books that are, like, a little bit older, but you don't really think they're older. That's
Me and
when
romance.
Yeah, romance. That's when I started reading a lot of dystopian. Like, I was reading the 100 books. I was reading all the Hunger Game books, Maze Runner, all that stuff. So it's like, I don't know, nostalgic reading has so many levels to it.
Did anyone read the book Hatchet or Fish in a Tree?
Yes, I did read Hatchet.
Hatchet for me was also like a peak nostalgic middle school book. And Fish in the Tree. I feel like everyone's read that book at least once. It's really good.
Have you read Hatchet, Janelle?
No, I have not.
Hatchet is about a young boy who crash lands, his airplane crash lands in the Canadian wilderness, and he has to survive for, like, I think maybe a month, until he gets rescued, though. But he uses, like, a hatchet, of course, for most of what he actually needed to do. It was like, I think I read it back in 6th grade because we had to, like,
that was one of the required readings.
Yeah, it was one of the required readings, and it was, like, very, like, serious and, like, very grounded. Another book that was also very nostalgic was The Outsiders by S.L. Hinton. Yes, that is, of course, the book that started the whole YA craze, basically, because before then you had adult characters in situations, but through The Outsiders you actually had younger characters in the main limelight, and all these kind of tropes like romance and tension and extreme violence. It wasn't dystopian, of course, but it's still kind of connected with, like, certain audiences as well.
Yeah, I feel like nostalgic reading and then YA are very connected. They're like, there's a line that it's very thin, and it's not like they're on different sides of the line. It's the same line. They're just on different halves of that same line.
I agree.
Real quick, let's show some love to all of our wonderful sponsors. College students who binge drink alcohol at least 3 times per week were roughly 6 times more likely to perform poorly on a test or project because of drinking. Dream City Brewing Company, Wolf Sports, and Wolf Radio proudly remind you to drink responsibly campaign. Students 21 and over should drink responsibly in an environment that discourages overindulging. Faculty won't take hangovers as excuses. So let's set the tone for a moment, and we'll be right back.
Wolfstock 2026 is happening on April 19th from 6 to 9 p.m. This year there will be 7 different artists featuring returning artist Adamson Avenue, Bliss, and introducing Ziggy the Artist. You can catch them live at Wolfstock. This event is free for everyone. Wolfstock 2026 is supported by Westwoods Apartments at Live Westwoods, Dine West IG at UWG Dine_West, Flagship Carrollton at Flagship Carrollton, Illuminated Productions, IlluminatedProd.com, Osier Apparel at Osier Apparel.
The show is not over yet. We'll be back with more Wolves of the Written Word here on Wolf Radio.
Welcome back, everyone, to Wolves of the Written Word, and we have been discussing our favorite books from our childhood that elicit strong nostalgia. When you look good, you feel good. When it fits good, you feel good. Now you can rep your favorite college station with our brand new merch store powered by Ozero Apparel. Visit thewolfuwg.com and click About. That's thewolfuwg.com and click About.
And do you guys know where the best place to rep our merch is? Wolfstock.
Wolfstock, that's right.
Wolfstock.
Wolfstock is this Thursday, April 9th from 6 to 9 p.m. in the Campus Center Ballroom. That's right. Mm-hmm. And if you like live music, games, and food, please come on over. It is one of our greatest achievements and one of our greatest celebrations.
Come support your local college radio station.
Come get free food.
Come listen to good music.
Yes. So we have been talking about nostalgia, and we have been revisiting nostalgia, our favorite childhood books that we like and we enjoy that elicit strong feelings of goodwill and good vibes. Now, of course, we're going to go into much more of the more grounded discussion as part of this episode, where we talk about sort of the pros and cons of nostalgia. As you know, nostalgia, of course, can easily be blinded and, of course, overtaken. There have been many instances in which this actually happens. As you know, mostly it's shown in animated shows where they redesign characters that are not the same as originally shown, not because of sort of I guess, aesthetic choice, but rather because certain elements don't exist anymore, like the cell shades, and because of the flash animation and the improvement and growth of technology. It's shown in movies, especially in the Harry Potter reboot, where people, of course, are seeing a lot more of the, I would say, different castings, and people have a lot stronger connection with the movies, because even though the movies were not perfect, but they were still very good and dear to our hearts.
Wait, can we talk about that real quick? Because technically it is nostalgic. What do you guys think of the reboot Harry Potter cast?
So as a person who is not the most into Harry Potter, I think I'm like the one person in this room who's not really like, I'm not a lover of Harry Potter like that. Personally, I think go for it, man. Do what you gotta do. It's for the new generation. Let them have what they gotta have. I have heard controversial things about, I think, the casting of Snape, though.
Yeah, that's the one thing I don't like. So Snape's whole character arc is that he's, in Harry's brain, super duper suspicious. Like, Harry comes to Hogwarts, and for some reason he just knows Snape is bad. I don't trust Snape.
Mm-hmm.
And now Snape's the only black professor at the school.
Oh!
And then, not to mention, there's a scene in the book where James Potter kind of like hangs Snape upside down from a tree. Turning Snape black completely changes like that connotation a lot. And like, I'm all for trusting the process. However, I feel like no. Like, no.
Yes, and of course that elicits strong nostalgic feelings that of course cloud into more anger and wrath that has been shown on the internet. Other examples include various movies that have been, of course, continuously rebooted, such as The How to Train Your Dragon and the new Shrek. Also, sequels can also kind of contribute to this days of nostalgia, where, of course, people expect certain continuations to kind of cloud or kind of remove the original work. So I would say that nostalgia, of course, can easily be a good thing. It brings good vibes and good feelings. However, it can also be very bad, as it elicits strong feelings of how the original work at least contributes. So I would say that, especially once we narrow ourselves down back into books, let's just say that there, of course, are at least new books that are hitting the shelves that have the exact same genre that we all like, but for some odd reason, we cannot stop turning our attention back to those books that we read back in middle school. So I guess my question is there really kind of any affection or sort of a consequence of nostalgia and how it affects any current book's quality? Let's just say in the past 5 years that have been published, okay? So nothing like anything 10 years ago, at least 5 years. Does it affect any quality?
I don't think so. I think it's different things, different feelings, different reasonings behind the publishing of any of these. Because I think anything that's been published in the past 5 years that you're reading, it's most likely not something that was meant to be a children's book or meant for young readers. So I don't think the nostalgic lens kind of affects anything or your opinion of those things. But the nostalgic lens low-key makes me ask a question. If the books that we were reading when we were younger were published for the first time now, would you still like them?
Yes.
All of them?
Yeah. For the most part, yeah. Because I feel like a lot of the books I personally grew up with have, like, an actual storyline. I don't think I ever read, like, a serial book where it's, like, no, it's a commercialized book where it's, like, a new story every single day. There are new stories, but they are still, like, intertwined and connected.
Yeah.
And I find myself still reading books like that now. So I feel like, yeah, I would definitely still like them.
That's right. Sean?
Well, for me, if it was published for the first time, and let's just assume that all my memories were wiped, so of the previous experience of what this has, I would probably say that I would most likely still read it because what you propose is less about the content itself and about more so your character. If your memories were erased and you were placed on the middle of an island and you are meant to, and you see someone in trouble, and would you still help them even if you have memories removed, if you knew that they were previously your friend in another life or something else? You would probably still save them regardless of that. And that's innate, like, character. If I knew that all my memories of these books were erased and it was published for the first time, of course I would still read it because I know that deep inside of me, for my character, I am a pretty broad reader. I read a lot of different things, newer things especially. So if anything was published for the first time, I would still read it. And this isn't just because of how perceptions are, especially in our new society, but also mostly because of how content and how creative expression gets a bit more higher. I mean, for example, I've been watching like a new TV show called The Pit. It's like a medical drama on HBO Max. It's pretty good. And I feel like that if it was published maybe 10 years ago, it would probably still be popular. Or at least in this case, if I had my memories erased, I would still like it. So yes, I would in fact still like all of the cool stuff that I would like if I were to not remember that and see it for the first time. Also, it kind of shows that, of course, I know who I am as a reader.
Yeah. Which I really like that idea because it also kind of tells you how much the books that we grew up reading have shaped who we are as people and how much it shapes your character unknowingly. Because, like, if you think about it, how much do you relate to the stories that you were reading when you were younger? Most
Very
likely
much.
a lot. And when you were reading it when you were younger, I doubt that you were like, oh yeah, I'm going to read this book because I relate to this a lot. No, you were just reading it because you were interested in it. You kind of related to it when you were younger, and then as you grew up, you started relating to it much, much more. Like, a lot of things that I'm nostalgic for have fully built up who I am as a person.
Mm-hmm.
Especially, like, the Geronimo Stilton books, the Thea Stilton books. I loved those books so much, and I loved the whole mystery aspect, but I also loved the relationships that they had with the other people around them, and I can say that for, like, all different kind of books that I'm nostalgic for completely different reasons.
And this might be like a crazy thing to say, but like all the books that I read when I was younger, if I kind of look into it, it kind of correlates to my favorite genres now. Like a big thing for Junie B. Jones when she went to first grade was her little love triangle with a bunch of boys. And I love romance books. And that's something that, like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, Thea and Geronimo Stilton were mystery, and I read a lot of mystery and dystopian books now. So it's really cool to see how our younger books kind of developed and shaped into like older book genres.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yes, and for me, I know that for the books I read, it definitely did kind of shape me how I am as a person. Most of anything involving Captain Underpants mostly involved me being aware of the strength of my creativity. Anything that I write or anything film related contributes from that book. My love for mythology or anything involving the past or history comes from Percy Jackson because there are a lot of references historically that are in the book that approaches it in a less, I guess, boring way. I'll just say that out loud. And it makes sense because it gives you a lot more interest in it, which allows you to shape how you view newer information as well. And I guess that kind of turns back into sort of the final question for today that all of us can answer before, of course, we end off our wonderful episode. Do you feel like that anything nostalgic that you read when you were a kid affects your reading now?
Yes. Because I'm gonna be so real. I'm thinking of it kind of like what Adia was saying with the genres. Like you were reading these things when you were younger, not really realizing that they were a part of this genre, and now you grew up and read a lot of those genres now. I'm thinking about it. A lot of the books that I read when I was younger, they had like slight themes that I really enjoy reading in books now. Like mystery. I love me a good mystery book. Or even like a little like plot twist, something drama, da-da-da. I used to eat that up in books when I was younger. And I still do eat that up. Because I think the things that you read for the first time that you're just like, whoa, you grow up and you keep reading things like that because you want to experience that whoa over and over again.
Yeah, I agree. Because one book that I'm thinking about now is the American Girl doll series. And that really, I think, kind of shaped and warped my love for history and just learning new things. Because a lot of, again, the books I read are like romance, then dystopian, then like futuristic stuff. So it's really cool that like my favorite books growing up have like little remnants in the books that I read now.
Yeah, that's real. That's really real. Sean?
Yes, and I do agree that whenever nostalgia kind of washes over me, I do think about the books that I have read, but how closely associated other books that would be published maybe in the last 5 years or even recently would affect how I'm trying to read. And it does actually contribute a lot because I'm more of a fantasy kind of sci-fi guy, so it definitely influences a lot how I would approach things as well. Babysitter's Club contributes to me reading more grounded tales. Percy Jackson contributes to me reading more fantastical tales as well. And I think that for all of our reading, there is a sense of appreciation from these books from our childhood that we can all kind of look back on and reread for this. And hopefully I can at least start reading most of these books because for the Babysitter's Club, they started a lot of new graphic novels. Hopefully I get to read most of them. Luckily, you can for at least through ebooks for very, very cheap.
Yes. Or you could go to the place that you should be the most nostalgic for as a reader, the library.
The library.
Yes, the library. Although the library, I would say, doesn't have everything.
It doesn't.
It doesn't. I think
It's a nice start.
It's a nice start.
Yeah.
Like you could find a lot in a library, especially if you spend the time to go to the library. Like I remember getting my first library card when I was younger.
I went to different branches too.
Mm-hmm.
Like especially because I didn't want to pay for all the comic books that I would want to read.
Yeah.
I went to like the Gwinnett County Library, and I think there's like 12 libraries in our branch. So it's really cool to like go everywhere.
To all the different libraries and like do all this. Yeah, libraries are a lot more underrated than you think. Even when we were younger, they were really underrated. Like I remember going to the school library and like loving it, and then there'd be quiet time and we're reading. But then I also remember like being really confused by the fiction and nonfiction section.
And the Dewey Decimal System
used to mess me up. It would mess me up so bad. And then I remember going to a public library for the first time, and I was just like, whoa, y'all got a lot in here. Y'all have money. You must be rich.
Like, going from elementary library to the
middle school
to the high school library. It was just like, wow.
I loved my high school library. I spent a lot of time in there my senior year. Not just like to read, but just because
I like the vibes.
Yeah. Plus, I was taking a dual enrollment class, and I wasn't technically supposed to be on campus during that time, but they wouldn't let me leave campus. So, like, we just chilling in the library.
Yes, the library was also my favorite place to go to when I was also in high school. It's about that time again for us to end the episode. I definitely greatly appreciated talking about this conversation about our favorite books from our childhood that we all loved to read when we were younger. And we all are glad to at least appreciate our younger selves for reading a lot and shaping us to be the persons that we are today. But in the meantime, this has been Wolves of the Written Word. I'm your host, Sean Smith.
I'm your co-host, Janelle Michelle.
And I'm your co-host, Adia Stubblefield.
Of course. And don't forget about Wolfstock this Thursday, April 9th.
Come,
free music,
come
free
see us.
food.
Come listen to the music. Please have fun. Come to Woolstock.
Yes, of course. But hope you guys have a brilliant Monday morning. But this has been Wolves of the Written Word.